dropping dimes everywhere. The season just keeps spinning. Every time there's a new dime, you're like, oh, well, I'm going in this direction. Another dime drops. Oh, I'm going in this direction. It never ends.
And there you have it, folks. It never ends. That's Matt telling you about what's been happening with the Rays season. It has been turning on a dime. It's been turning on a nickel. And my gosh, Matt, I mean, it was 2 days ago. I was looking at our record. We'd won 2 out of our last 10 games. And I think we're now up to 4 of our last 10 games. But my gosh, at that point, and I haven't looked at it today. What were we? We were probably 5.5, 6 games out of the wild card. And we're trading spaces with the Angels right now, I think, in that slot. So we'll see how that rolls out.
It's a little bit better than that, actually. I think we're 4.5 out of the wild card, but I don't know if that's now or if that was then. I think we are 4.5 right now, or I say we, the Rays.
The Rays, you know, you got to own them when they're doing well, and when they're doing bad as well. Right? It can be our Rays or us. Just don't do that flip when they suck and you say, yeah, did you see those guys?
Yeah, exactly. No, that's all good. They scared us a little bit though today because they came out with a bang, right? They got that 4-0 lead. I don't like to feel safe in any race start just because they've seemed to find ways to actually lose some games that they probably should have won. And a lot of times you can't blame anybody, you can't point fingers. It's usually just guys not performing in the key moments. But today was like Shane Baz letting in those 4 runs and they were pitching to Mike Trout and they served him that, right where he loves that swing to go. And all I kept thinking was, what was the pitch that was called? And as opposed to what was thrown, right? Was that really what they were intending to do? Or was it just, it was supposed to be lower is what I keep thinking. They were trying to get the ground out or something like that, or a double play, or I can't remember how many outs there were in that inning. But that was unfortunate is all I was going to say, because at that point, it seemed the Rays had everything under control. They were getting momentum. But in a way, Mark, that's what builds heroes.
Oh, yeah.
So what came out of it was Chris Morel getting to step up, a guy who needs good injection of good news. And he stepped up, pretty much put him ahead. And now he gets to have that good field. I think they have an off day tomorrow. And then they kick it off again against the Mariners. So that's going to be a tough series. Again, more travel and more distance covered. But they all have good feelings. And to win a series against a tough team like the Angels that you're trying to, get ahead of again and eventually create separation, that's a good feeling. So I think the Rays are just happy to finally get in that direction. They had Baker contribute. They had Fortes contribute. They had Jax creating some magic. Which I think you saw my tweet about his inning. Loaded the bases, no outs. And all I kept thinking was, this is Brian Baker 2.0, like the whole implosion after he gets, traded over. But then I settled. I said, you know what? I'm going to tough it out. I'm going to watch this and see what comes out of it. Because sometimes I cringe and I look away. But he struck out 3 guys. And I'll tell you what, Mark, like he looked like he was in control the entire time. I don't know what was going on in the head, but he looked like he knew he could get out of it. And I think that's the attributes that you want in a closer. So today, I think we got a taste of our future closer whenever that comes to be.
No, I agree with you. Jax was just amazing to watch. And before we even got started today, I was thinking, even before the show, let's take a look at these guys that we just got recently. Griffin Jax, Nick Fortes, Hunter Feduccia, Adrian Houser. But today, being able to see Nick Fortes and Griffin Jax do what they did, man, Fortes got his first home run as a Ray. I love that. Morel, you mentioned Christopher Morel, and I was thinking with him, not that he's a new guy, but what I was looking at the record, I think he had been, his last 5 or 6 at-bats had all been strikeouts. Yeah. Junior Caminero comes in with 2 home runs back to, well, not back to back, obviously. But I mean, yeah, 2 at bats back to back there. And it was an exciting game to watch. And Shane Baz had such great command, for the first 3 innings there. And then things just kind of fell apart. But he was still looking fantastic in the first part of all of that. So I was really glad to see, him pull that together.
Absolutely. The other thing I'll point out is Junior Caminero, you just mentioned, before they went on that road trip, they had a graphic up during one of the games that was saying how terrible Junior Caminero had been on the road and how little power he had shown. Well, this is a statement series that basically says, okay, we can put that to bed now. And I think he's getting comfortable and he's getting his routine down on the road now. So hopefully that's a sign of more things to come. The Rays need a lot more series wins before we get too excited, but they're heading in the right direction, and I like good feelings and where they can lead to. Like we all know, September is that critical month. That's when you want to be your hottest. So there's time for them to figure it out and get there.
Well, some teams have to start losing as we win too. That might help a little bit as also, but because it's getting closer, man. It's Matt. It is just that window is closing. It's not closed by a stretch of imagination. I mean, but I thought we'd be well above 50 some odd wins by now. I was seeing us at least 60, 65 is where my mind was going to be even a week ago. I thought we'd be at 60 and above a week ago, but we're going to push through it. And I was looking across today, stepping away from the game for a moment. I was wondering what Taj Bradley, I mean, he was who we got Jax for, right? He was for that trade. And right now he's just in AAA. And so I don't know what he's doing. He's going to have to do to come up from that. Let's see. He allowed 1 run in a game where he did, he had 73 pitches and he was averaging a speed about 95.6 miles per hour. So his speed's there. And if he only allowed 1 run with 73 pitches, I'm not sure how many innings that was. He's doing okay. That's AAA again, but we'll see with that. All right. You and I sat here a week ago and we thought we knew what was what. And we had to do a second show because we found out we didn't know what was what.
Yep. No, the Rays, they left everybody hanging for a long while. So I want to give us, some leeway on that. There was no clear direction they were going to head in.
No, but it was interesting. One of the changes we made was bringing in Adrian Houser, and he did not have his best performance the other day coming in with the Rays. And I'm hoping that turns around. The thing about it is, man, I always wonder personality wise how things shake out. One, we've got 2 new catchers,
Right.
and we've got the team that there is a core who's been playing out there like Caminero and Chandler Simpson, Diaz, Walls, Lowe, Lau. They're there, but bringing all the rest of these new folks in and finding some kind of synergy, I thought it's going to be a little disruptive at first. They seem to be gelling.
It's, what, it's not for naught that a lot of, even if you look at the Blue Jays and Max Scherzer, he's taken a little while to get going. It happens to even the most veteran of pitchers. You get in a new environment, new routine, new coaches, new faces at the ballpark. Everything is new. Sometimes you just get into your own head too, where you think a team really dealt a lot of assets for me, so now I need to perform, and you try to be too refined with some of the things that you're doing, so it takes you away from your game. And I think once it gets settled, I'd just be curious to see who they pair him up with, because one of the things I came up with this series was Ryan Pepiot and Hunter Feduccia had actually worked together quite a bit while they were in LA. And I just hadn't made that link for whatever reason until I saw it on the field. And I was like, wait a minute, they're both LA guys. Like, how come I never thought, maybe this is why they brought in Hunter? Maybe they think that he is going to help Ryan reach that next level and give him that comfort zone. Because from what I saw when I looked up the statistics, Ryan did well when Hunter was behind the plate. So You could lead to the same thing with Adrian Houser. Maybe he'll try both catchers. Maybe he'll get comfortable with how the game planning goes with the Rays. I think he probably got told a lot of information from their stats gurus, and it played with his mind a little bit. And so that takes a little bit of buy-in and a little bit of time to kind of cash in on some of the things that they're trying to push on the new pitchers when they come in. So like Baker, like Jax as well, was probably hearing a few things. They don't try to change what the pitcher is doing. They just usually try to change how much and where,
Yeah.
which is still a tweak, right? It still takes adjustments for that pitcher to get comfortable with. So yeah, I'll be curious to see what his second and third starts look like. But certainly it didn't make the Rays rush out and want to give him an extension yet.
Well,
There.
let's hope that's just a little shakiness that he'll sort that out. And like you
Right.
said, build up a good rapport, whether it's Feduccia or also with Forties today. So that's just, but man, yeah, I look at these guys in a play today. I'm going to come back to today's game because it was so exciting. Was it the eighth inning or ninth inning when Jake Mangum is out there fielding? And this ball, he has to run a distance to get to it. He's out there in the outfield, and man, he gets out there. He slides across his ribs. You see him out there. He gets that ball. He cups that in there with his other hand. He opens it up to make the glove to make sure it's still there and closes it again. And it was a beautiful, beautiful catch. But I thought, my gosh, is he going to need an ambulance to walk away from that thing? Because the way he had to throw his body into the ground to get that was astounding.
Yeah, when they were reviewing that play, he took a knee and he was rubbing his ribs a little bit. And he was like, yeah, I'm gonna feel that one tomorrow, I'm pretty sure. It was a beautiful play. Like there was no margin for error on reading the play, how it came off the bat. He had to act right away. So beautiful. And he was replacing Johnny DeLuca, who had a hamstring pull before that. So that just shows the Rays' depth. Johnny probably could have made a similar play as well, but you know, the fact that the Rays can just substitute him in for DeLuca, they have so much talent when it comes to defensive play in the outfield. It does beg the question, though. I saw the Durham lineup card tonight. Cameron Meisner was taken out. So probably there's a chance that he's coming up and replacing Johnny DeLuca if there is the need to put him on IL. That's sometimes that takes a while to decide.
Yeah.
But the Durham Bulls had Coco Montes in left field. So I think I don't think that was the plan originally. The other thing I'll point out is Junior Caminero's barehand throw from third base earlier in that game, and Yandy Diaz, who made the scoop pickup at first. Like both that play was also a critical play for this game. So the Rays are doing very, things that amp up your confidence because you're doing the small things to get your team through and across the finish line. So, and Pete closed the door. So again, there's a lot of kudos to go around in this game, even with the 4 runs that were given up out in the third, I think.
Yeah, I agree. There was definitely a lot of kudos to go around on this. And talking again just a little bit more about DeLuca, it's been always amazing to watch him run up to the wall to catch a ball or get up there. Something look like he's going to go out and become a home run. But today, to get that triple, I mean, that's what he pulled the muscle from, I presume. But to see him take the bases like it, my gosh. I mean, this is exciting baseball. This is the kind of game I love to watch. And, I'm obviously a big Rays fan, but I still respect when I see Trout come up to the plate. I respect when we see our old former Ray d'Arnaud out there doing his work as well as their catcher and at bat. But my gosh, this team really seemed to gel today, and everybody came through when they were needed. I don't know what else to say about it except that I'm excited about it. Can't wait to see what's coming.
Absolutely. And the only thing I would mention is there's so many guys that pull their hamstrings when they get tripled. I'm like, okay, we need to put a Gatorade station in at second base. They grab one of those little cups, the cone ones that you usually get at the doctor's office when you're and they pass and they swig it on the way to third because it has to be a dehydration thing that's going on when when they do that kind of stuff. But they're pushing hard, they're pushing the limits, and they are running a lot faster than you and I can run. But yeah, it's nice to see the Rays pick him up and still pull off the win afterwards, even without Johnny.
Yeah, well, they were amazing to watch, and now they're off to Seattle.
Hmm.
And I think is Randy still up there? Randy Rosarina still with the Mariners?
So is Luke Rayleigh. There's a bunch of X-rays on the because I think if I'm not mistaken, they also have some relievers that were part of the race. I don't know if they're actually up on the active roster or if they're just on the 40 man, but let me take a quick peek. No, they're not on the active roster, so they're more in the minors. Yeah, so those would be the big two, Luke Rayleigh and Randy Arozarena. Arozarena, I think, is leading off most games for him. So chances are he'll be the one greeting the Rays when they get up there. And then they get Cal Raleigh right behind him. He's the beast that the Rays are going to have to contend with, and hopefully they don't, attack him too swiftly because he can do some damage. And now behind, usually hitting fifth or sixth, they have Eugenio Suarez, who's able to actually chip in now and provide some power at the bottom of the lineup. So that's a dangerous team, and I'll be curious to see how the Rays handle that series.
Yeah, Cal Raleigh, he's just been amazing what he's been able to achieve as far as the home runs. I don't want to see that Poseidon Trident come out of the dugout for the home runs, brother. I want to see that thing shut down. So we'll see what our boys are able to do. And we love you, Randy, but we're kind of keep you in check, my friend. We'll see how
There
that
is
plays.
one more X-rays that's on their team. It's Miles Mastroboni. And
Oh, I hadn't
right.
thought about him in a while.
Right. And so he had played for a while with the Cubs. And I loved Miles. I think we interviewed him way back when, and just a really well-grounded, down-to-earth guy, and plays every position, fairly well. He's the role basically that I envision Taylor Walls having, which
Uh,
is just somebody off the bench, somebody that can play anywhere in the infield, play it at a high level. Except for Taylor making two errors there, yesterday's game.
yeah.
But that's the role that I think he would fit best in, and especially with his speed off the bench, which is what Miles contributes with as well. So yeah, it'll be nice to see what he's up to and how he's come along since.
Do we want to talk about Taylor?
I think I've said my piece. I know I'm
Okay.
having a lot of back and forth. I have no issues with Taylor Walls being on the Rays. That's
Yep.
just that's no problem. What I have an issue with is the usage time.
Yeah.
I don't want him to be a full use player until he earns it. And I don't feel like he's earned it, especially at the plate. There's some hard headedness with certain guys. Like I remember watching Carlos Gomez, and he would take the biggest swings, the longest swing. I know he's not around right now, baseball savant measuring swing pass, but I'm telling you, it would have been 10 or 12 miles long. That guy would swing all the way through, reach all the way back like he was one of those court cartoons that would come uncoiled afterwards. And his average suffered because of it, but the talent and the hand-eye coordination were there. So that he could have done better. With Taylor, I just feel like if he picked a side to hit from at the plate, because right now he's not doing much with either side. Just pick one, get comfortable with it, hit on that side only, and see how it goes. Maybe, you would amp up your hitting to the point where you do earn a full-time role. But I feel like the Rays are essentially using him to the point where it's turning their lineup into a National League lineup, where there just isn't any production from the 9 hole. So, that's not great. And Nick Fortes being on board now, makes that a little tedious. Although I will say the look on his face from hitting that home run today was just precious. He's like that little kid that got the first star when he's in elementary school in the first week or month, and he gets that first start, and he's like, "Wow, look what I did!" So I'm really happy for him, and I hope it feeds into something long term for him. But Taylor Walls, I will be happy once he's used in a more supportive role than a prominent role.
Now, I'm not sure what all you were able to watch, but were you able to see when Chandler Simpson had his balk, or rather got a balk from the pitcher trying to steal second. There had already been two passes over to the first to get Chandler out with one at bat.
Mm-hmm.
And the third one, Chandler's on over and he gets stuck in a pickle, but he escapes, makes it back to first. And because that was the third throw over, that he automatically got second. And it's one of those little goofy moments in the game.
Did they count it as a stolen base at that point, or?
Supposedly it was a balk, was what I heard. I don't know. I think the whole thing was crazy and ridiculous, but it's part of the insanity of the game that makes it attractive too. It's those little weird
To me,
moments.
that's the same as giving people participation trophies as adults, right? That's basically the same kind of deal there.
Oh, oh, oh my gosh. One more thing. I'll go back to another moment. When Morel hit that home run.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking in the dugout and seeing Caminero, and he was making this face almost of anger. And it was like, what? What? And by the time Morel came in, I didn't realize they'd had a history together, a nice history. And he smacks him on the back of the head. And it was sort of like, I had the sense, I don't know exactly what he said, but I had a sense that, where have you been? Well, this is beautiful, but where's this been? But it's about time. That's the sense I got from whatever was going on with that conversation. But it was friendly, it was playful. But at the same time, it's like enjoying this moment. Glad to see you're here.
Yeah. No, you got to enjoy I think that's where the road trip's going to feed into the Rays a little bit, because they've been home so much. And like, I don't know what kind of lives they lead at home, but when you go on the road, there's more of that camaraderie that binds people together. And right now they're in the foxhole together, the whole crew. So
Yeah.
the more, jocularity there is like that, the better it is for them, for sure.
Yeah, I know Brian Anderson was talking about something like that during the game, and he said to the effect, what was it? I liked it better when I was on the road than I was at home for a long period of time. I'd rather be on the road for a longer period of time than I would be at home for. I thought, well, that's not nice. But it goes to what you were saying, is that gelling with the team, the camaraderie. And I think that sense of purpose will carry over with the Rays as they go through the next few weeks with being on the road like that. So I'm really curious to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I wanted to bring something up too, Mark. Did you see the Roman Anthony extension?
No, tell me, what was that about?
Oh man. So I've been clamoring for Junior Caminero to get extended by the Rays, right? So I'm thinking this might set the floor for what Junior Caminero would get. So Roman Anthony got 8 years, 130 million.
Ooh.
To stick around with the Red Sox. Now, there's escalators in there that can bring it up to 230 million. Like if he hits all those things, I'm sure some of them are reachable, some of them aren't. There's probably MVP things in there and things like that. So it tells me is that, okay, the Red Sox cleared some money off, by moving Devers. So I'm not going to give them a pat in the back for handing Roman Anthony some money, because it's just, you made your choice between the two, essentially. Xander Bogaerts is in San Diego. Devers is in San Francisco. You sent them all to the West Coast, including Mookie Betts, who's in Los Angeles. So you dispersed the wealth. And then you sign Roman Anthony to that deal. But 8 years, 130 million. I think I have to wonder if you offered a similar deal, maybe a little bit more amped up, because Junior Caminero's shown it a bit more than what Roman Anthony has. And I think it might be weird in terms of the number of years. But if you have the right kind of escalators that are similar to what Roman Anthony has in there, I think the Rays can probably get it done with Junior Caminero at a similar rate. Maybe it ends up being more like 175 million guaranteed for him, somewhere between there and 130, and then the escalators take it a little bit higher. But I think we've seen enough from Junior now where I'd be comfortable, especially defensively. The leaps and bounds that he's made on his defensive game tell me that there's no reason to be scratching for more third baseman coming up. Like you've found your guy. So I would love for the Rays to make that investment and show fans that it's not all just about the stadium, to let them forget about Wander Franco, to make him the core piece of the future for the next decade. I think there'd be a lot, of value in the new Rays ownership coming in and doing that as one of their first moves.
I think that's a great idea because let's face it, that kind of talent, we're not going to have a quote franchise unquote player, but to have someone like this who can still be the face for a few years or some commitment to seeing them succeed, it alleviates some of the pressure from them to worry about their career. And as fans, we're excited because we know we've got this great player, more or less locked in for years to come. It's going to be exciting times ahead.
And not just that, Mark. We've spoken about this as well. What if the Rays do that in end of August or early September, and then in the offseason they approach Kyle Tucker? Well, is he more likely to come aboard if he knows Junior is signed, or if he's still lingering as a pre-arbitration or ARB1 guy? Like that to me is the other key. By signing Junior, the same way that the Jays should have done with Vladdy, way beyond, and it would have cost them way less than it did, right? They're paying what, 500 million for Vladdy? Like, so, if you're able to get out of it with 175 million, you're getting a pretty significant rebate, right? But he's getting his money now. He's getting the bonus now. So there's value for him in that case as well. So I just think it makes the Rays a better attractive product, not only because they still have a strong system and they have that core player, but now you add yourself into that as Kyle Tucker, and you're like, yeah, now I can see the future. I know that I'll be well supported all the way through. So I think it has a lot of value on all sides of it, really.
Well, I'm just still waiting for all this to come to fruition with our fellow from Jacksonville to have that pen to paper and say, hi there, I'm the new owner. It's great to see you. And the stadium, I won't worry about that for a couple of more years. I'll be just fine wherever the Rays play. So, because I feel confident that they're going to be here. So we'll see about that.
Mark, the stadium saga for the Rays is going to deserve a book, and you should write it because honestly, you've lived it all.
Jeez, haven't we all, brother? I tell you what, I feel like Marley's ghost carrying chains saying, beware of this, that, and the other. But, see what the future holds there, Scrooge. Anyway, what else? Since I made my Christmas Dickens Carol thing going on there. Something else today with the Guardians. Did you see that?
No.
Their pitcher. Let's see what's his name. My gosh, I'm gonna go crazy about this. I'll bring it up here in a second. Hang on. He almost had a no-hitter today. They had him in there for 8 1/3 innings, and the Guardians were playing the Mets, and Juan Soto got a hit off of him. And the guy's name's Gavin Williams. He 8 2/3 innings. So they took him out for the last out. It's like, come on, man. At that point, final was 4-1. And Gavin Williams pitched, pitch count, 126 pitches. Yeah. Yeah, that was a commitment of the Guardians to saying, we're going to give you the chance to complete this no-hitter. But 126 pitches, yeah, maybe they should take him out after the no-hitter was no chance.
He's still in the ice bath right now. He's been in there for a couple of hours, and
it's insane. I mean, you and I talk about that time and time again about, pitchers' arm health and what is the team doing to keep it there. And watching, I think I watched pitchers more closely now when on the show they bring up what has been the mix of their last 6-8 pitches when they've got a long at bat with one batter there. And how many of these were, fastballs, how many of them were sliders, et cetera, et cetera. And you find out real quickly what's in their repertoire as far as what that pitcher may have. And we've talked before, whether we're some of the elder statesmen of pitching, if you will, who have been able to come up with more versatility. But it was interesting coming back to seeing him today with the Guardians. 8 2/3 innings, jeez, almost a no hitter.
You don't see that very often, and yeah, you love to see it just because it's one of those things that, for whatever reason, amazes baseball fans. To no end. Like you always remember those. I still remember Dennis Martinez having a no hitter with the Expos way back when. Like they stand out as moments in time, right? Yeah, they're pretty cool. So it's too bad for him he couldn't get at least a complete game. But 126 pitches, you're feeling that rubber arm. So he was probably thankful. I don't think he was crying getting off the mound.
No, I can't imagine it either. I tell you what, I made a special effort this week not to watch a certain game, and that was one out at Speedway. Where
Oh,
I thought, what is this? Is this the Savannah Bananas? Come on. They're digging out the middle of a raceway speedway there to build a ball field. And they had, supposedly, how MLB does when they're talking about attendance. It's not about counting people in the seats, it's about counting tickets sold. And there's like 91,000.
I think it was an opportunity missed. Where was the race? I want what they did there, but with
Yeah.
the cars going around at the same time. I want both events going on where I'm like, whoa, this is insane.
I like that idea a lot. I once, years ago, when I was a young man, attended a Daytona 500. And man, that is exciting. There we are I'm watching it from the infield. So that's exactly where I would be able to see in the infield of the Daytona 500. That would have been exciting. But I'm thinking, well, let's see, the Bananas have already, they dug up a college baseball field and they had around 82,000 or something attending that. They did the Buck Stadium and did well with that. And I'm mentioning this in part about the Bananas because we talked last week about women's baseball and trying to find a way where women's baseball could have the success of something like the WNBA, and seeing a face like Caitlin Clark and the identity and how she is so broad beyond all that. Well, there is a professional baseball player by the name of Kelsie Whitmore. And Kelsie has played in some of the minor leagues and other leagues. She has been on the USA Women's National Team. Now she's with the Bananas. Now, it's interesting. There was another woman from the USA Women's National Team by the name of Val Perez. And Val also, she is the captain of one of the teams. I love the names, man. The Party Animals. They've got no. She's with the Firefighters. She's a captain and a player for the Firefighters. There's a softball player by the name of, I think, Justin, who's with the Party Animals. Anyway, it's kind of interesting because I look at the Bananas much as a way of looking back in the Negro Leagues when you had the Indianapolis Clowns. Indianapolis Clowns were actually a great baseball team, but they also cut up some. They played kind of, before there were Harlem Globetrotters, there was guys who were throwing, like shadow ball, like they were throwing a ball around when they weren't, doing some things pre-game. Man, they wound up being a team that brought the first woman on there, Toni Stone. And I think we made this connection before that Toni Stone, if you look at her and you look at the Clowns being part of Major League Baseball now, you could say that Toni was the first woman ever to be a major leaguer. So I'm thinking this Kelsie, I would love to see her be basically a face that people can kind of come to and look at the career that she has, see what she's done as a player elsewhere, what she's doing with Bananas, and be a spokesperson for women's baseball throughout. She is already in many ways. I'm just trying to find that one piece we were talking about that's going to be a magnet for more people to come to women's baseball. And she may be a critical part of that.
Right. I'd be curious to find out, like, I know we probably will never know, but I'd be curious to find out how much they're paying, the players to play for the Savannah Bananas, because it is such a huge event. Like they sell out everywhere they go. And then I think she's going to be playing with them through September.
Yep.
So, it's a couple of months. So I'm not saying she's going to be making the same as a major leaguer, but she's going to make more, I would imagine, than she would have on any other, team that she would be playing with at right now. So it's about as close to MLB caliber pay as she could get, other than joining an MLB team and playing in AAA, let's say, right? Like it's about to that same kind of level. So hopefully that's the start of something, right? And it'll get more people to know her name and to recognize her and to drum things up. And I would imagine the Savannah Bananas are not just going to stop there. She's not going to be the only woman to ever play for them. There'll be others that come up as well. And if ever you've seen pictures of her, take a look at her legs and how strong they look,
Oh
because
yeah.
it is, impressive, the amount of power and force that she's able to pitch with. So I think, the more that we see this kind of thing, the more that it will become normal, and the less that we will feel the need to kind of point it out. It'll just become a normal, like, hey, what
Thank you.
did you see this happen, and etc. So I'm hoping we get there, 3, 4, 5 years from now. It moves pretty quick once the gates open.
Well, and I believe that is happening here. I think that Kelsie, Val Perez, and the others are coming into Jocelyn Lowe from softball. But women's baseball, this is kind of a critical piece, piece that you talked about last week, and I wasn't picking up the ball enough, and that was running women's games was part of the World Baseball Classic. That you could have those running simultaneously or back to back or something. I think that was a great idea. I think that's really going to be something for the future as well. But the women's baseball this past week, they had the tournament in Durham with the All-American Women's Tournament, and 4 teams. And we were very fortunate. Some of the women who were managing or playing had been on the show before. We had Maggie Meidlinger, Tamara Holmes, who was managing the Peaches, Alex Oglesby, she was with the Racing Bells, and then Beth Greenwood, who was catching for, I don't know if she was with the Bells or what, the Comets. But anyway, seeing all these great women come together and play. And this may be the proving ground, too, for those women for the next USA women's national baseball team. So we're going to find out. I'm going to do a little bit more homework. I understood that they were there, people were being watched, and we'll see what comes from there, my friend.
Yeah. Do you know if women's baseball is part of the Olympics?
No, they're absolutely not. Um,
So why wouldn't they be? That, to me, that seems like you know, an easy way, because it doesn't involve any other organizing than what the Olympics put on. You do have to have qualifications and people actually getting in. So then that brings about another tournament where people get together and do the same kind of thing. But those kind of tournaments normally propel a lot of attention towards that sport, right? Like you always see it with soccer. Soccer, there's a whole bunch of tournaments that happen within North America, within South America, and Americas in general, to earn a spot in the World Cup or to earn a spot in the Olympics. Same thing could happen with baseball. If they're able to get in women's baseball, if they're able to get into the Olympics, then that draws attention and focus on that game. So, I don't know what steps they've taken to make it that, or if there's applications submitted and all that kind of stuff. I imagine there has to be. But hopefully, the Olympics, they have so many sports where you have like 100 different medals being handed out, like for swimming, for running, for whatever, all different distances and this and that and the other thing. Well, you can have 2 gender in one sport, right?
Yep.
Like, I don't think that's too much to ask, basically.
No, and I had Veronica Alvarez on here before. She was the manager of the USA Women's National Team a few years back. She's working within the A's organization right now, and I think some with their Dominican League as well. And when I had her on here, I said, I look at you guys being the USA Women's National Team. I look at you like the Avengers. There's only this one group of superheroes. There's just it for all practical purposes, at least in the Marvel universe. But seriously, I said, but the thing of it is, I said, where are the other ones coming from? And I said something. So he says, well, I see us as an Olympic team. I said, well, obviously, because what you're all able to do. And because you have distilled the best of the best in the U.S., what else would you have, what you call those women? And the thing I joked about with her is that the past Olympics, they had breakdancing.
Yeah.
They had steeplechase. Okay, you got that, but you don't have women's baseball. Give me a freaking break. And she says, "Well, I don't begrudge those people or those sports." She says, "I am very happy for them." But she goes, "But I agree with you. I'd like to see women's baseball." Here's the thing, Matt. It's not going to happen in 2028 Olympics, but 2032, Brisbane, Australia. Australia is stronger with women's baseball, I believe. And I think it's time to pick up the ball and see about playing it now.
Yeah, that brings about the question of who makes those decisions. Like the Olympic committees have been torn apart and called corrupt for various different things, along the way. So I don't know who makes the call, but it's mind-boggling that they don't have certain sports included in there, that they let them in and out and they make changes so freely. Like there's certain things that should be automatics, right? And I do have to say that I enjoyed the Olympics a little bit more when the professionals weren't there
Yeah.
because it was all amateurs, right? And I don't know how you cross that line. Like, is drafted also a professional, or is it like once you're playing at the professional level? But something like that could help along the way as well, because I know the NHL is trying to figure it out, and Major League Baseball is trying to figure it out on how to stop the game for that period of time and make it work. But it's just crazy, like to stop your business that's worth billions of dollars just for a tournament. It seems kind of a little bit crazy to ask them to do that. A lot of people are in on it and like it. A lot of people are against it. I don't know. Everybody loves an international tournament. They love cheering for their country and for their athletes. So I think if the WBC can be held at another time and it works, great, then that's fine. Like, you don't really need the Olympics. But I still think that amateurs should get to go and represent their countries. And, it's still worthwhile watching, Mark.
Oh, I'm with you 100%. I mean, when I remember years ago when the NBA started bringing players into the Olympics, I'm like, why? Why? I enjoy collegiate sports. This is the best of all the college players in the United States coming there. I don't need to see the pros come in there. The pros should be a different level. I mean, that's just been my mindset. But going back to what you were saying is right, who decides these things? And I have to go back and check my research, Matt, but it was, I believe that whoever the hosting country is, they can pick two or four sports that they would want to bring to the Olympics. I don't know who has a final say on it, but the host country or the host location has that bit of pressure or um, direction where they can actually do that. So I want to go back and check all that because, like I said, 2028, we're not going to be able to get anything done for that. But for 2026, I mean, for 2032, yeah, I could see where in Australia that could happen. We'll see.
It'll be interesting to see if the WNBA can sort out their labor issues to the point where they can also go to those Olympics. Australia is very big in basketball as well. So yeah, that's definitely something to consider. I hadn't thought of that way. I'll throw another one at you, Mark.
Please.
Yaniel Curret is making his AAA debut after being promoted, and he's through 4 innings right now, and he's only allowed 1 run. But he's allowed 2 runs, but one of them was on a home run that he gave up to Andy Yerzy, and then he struck him out the next time up. But overall, he's looking comfortable. He's looking good. There's a good zip on his pitches. Some of the hits that I've seen are just dribblers through the infield. So I'm really, really excited for him and for the Bulls and for the Rays to see what he's able to do from here to the end of the season. Some people are saying if the Rays did squeak in and push for that playoff spot, he could become a really prominent piece. So he's somebody that the Rays fans, if they want to check it out in on MILB TV, it's worthwhile watching what he's got because I think he's about as close as that we have coming that could resemble an ace at some point in time in the near future. So, as sad as I am about Taj Bradley going to the Twins, when you've got somebody like Curret coming up behind him and potentially chipping in, it's great. The other thing I'll say is Van Bell, the guy that they got for Zach Littell, looked outstanding in his start. Outstanding. Gave up 1 hit in 6 innings. Just really, 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 really looks strong. So the Rays may not have had the start that they wanted from Houser, but if they need to replace him in a rotation for whatever reason, because all of a sudden he's injured or something like that, then Van Bell seems like he's very close and ready to chip in right now. But both of those are on the 40-man roster, so it's good to hear.
Definitely, because pitching is always weird anyway, is who's going to be healthy and who's not. And it's really good news to hear about Corrette and what's Bell? Is that the other gentleman's name?
Van Bell, yeah.
Van Bell.
The Van Bell, it just sounds like something you would make up, right? Like, what a cool name. It's going to be Van Bell.
Well, I didn't know with Griffin Jax or Jax Griffin. When I first I saw that name too, it's like, wait a minute. Okay. Yes, Griffin Jax. But no, it's an exciting time, man. And anytime you're bringing in new players after the trade and seeing them try to come in together in jail. And today's game, here is Wednesday, August 6th, and seeing the Rays do what they did last night and today, it's hopeful. It gives me, it was easy to kind of crawl into a shell. And I know, as you were talking earlier today, when it was the third or fourth inning, when we start seeing a few runs go up on the board for the Angels, it's like cringe time. Can I continue to watch this now? Is this going to work? But yeah, stay the course, Matt. Stay the course, and that's what we got to do. We got to stay the course with the Rays.
You put a sheet of paper in front of your face, you just poke one hole and you peek at it once in a while, and then you look away. And you peek at it and you look away.
That sounds about right, brother. Oh, man. Well, Matt, you got anything else on the toaster coming up here? Anything else we need to?
I just think, like the road trip is going to be, wearing on the Rays a little bit, and it's going to wear on the fans. I don't know what your routine is when you have to watch games that late, but for me, it's watch the first inning, get a taste of what that game may look like, go to bed, and then wake up and then look at the box score, and I'm like, oh, that happened. Okay. And then I watched the game, flicking through all the dead parts. So I do watch them. It's the next morning because I can't stay up that late.
Well, I keep forgetting, dude. You're a little bit before Eastern time. What are you, an hour and a half before Eastern time?
Hour before, yeah, exactly.
Oh,
well, it gets to be too much. And I'm up at 5 in the morning and I'm at the gym for 6. So for me, it's extra, I can't really play around with too many hours. So yeah, I wish them all the best, and I'll be, cheering them on in the mornings. But I am not staying up for a lot of those games, and I'll look forward to the Western part being done. But I think after Seattle, they go to Sacramento for the A's or something like that. I can't remember which one. So they're getting air miles all over the country, and they get a little bit of a taste for what it feels like to be a Mariner.
Yeah. Well, Matt, I thank you again, buddy. It's always good to spend time shooting the breeze about the Rays and taking a dip into the sea of what's happening with women's baseball and trying to see what we can do to help support that. So thanks again, brother. It's always fun chatting with you.
Always fun, Mark, and anytime. And I hope we have a winning streak to talk about next week, because I'll be extra excited at that point, and I'll give you some data on what needs to happen for them to get into the playoffs at that point if they have a winning record between now and next week. If not, don't expect any stats from me.
Okay, everybody. Thanks. That's Matt Germain. I'm Mark Carbett. You've been listening to Baseball Biz on Deck, in case I didn't do a good intro at the beginning. So I want to thank you all for joining us here today. Don't forget to like us, love us, subscribe to us, and say wonderful things to all your friends. So we'll catch up with you all again next week, and thanks again. Yay.
And just a reminder, if you enjoyed this show, go ahead, like, and subscribe to Baseball Biz on Deck. Also, you can find Matt at matgermain.b Sky Social. That's Matt at matgermain.b Sky Social, or Mark at baseballbizondeck@gmail.com. You may also find Baseball Biz on Deck at iHeart Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, and at baseballbizondeck.com. Special thanks to Scott Holmes for the music, stomps, and claps.